Good evening and welcome to Gunner Shot once again. I have with me my old guru, General Vinod Bhatia, and we're going to speak of theatre commands. Why theatre commands? Because this is the year of the reform, and that's been officially announced. And I think it's time that the theatre commands came in. It'll do a lot of good to every one of us. We've been speaking of it for a long time, from the day when the Prime Minister announced it, from the rampart to the Red Fort. A long time has passed. A lot of issues have come. One way of looking at it is it has taken so much time. The other way of looking at it is it's crystallized into a natural form. We're not hurried into it. We are not like China. कि आज के दिन, they made the strategic support force with a big bang. Then they broke it up and then they put. So I mean, it's not worth making an organization then breaking it and then doing some things all over. That's you keep reinventing the wheel. To that extent, I'm sanguine. I'm okay with the delay, but the fact is, it's coming, and we hope it's coming. That's the rider in the whole story. But I'm not going to be between you and General Vinod Bhatia. Sir, over to you and your views on the theatre command, and we'll pick it up as we go along. All yours.
Thank you, Jan Shankar, Jai Hind, to all your viewers. Always an honor and learning experience to be on the Gunner Shot platform. I've enjoyed the conversations always, very free flowing. Thank you very much. And let me wish your viewers the very best for the new year and the Army Day also, the 77th Army Day, which is now, as far as theatre commands are concerned, there are a lot of our people, including the strategic community, who are questioning the need of theatre commands. No, firstly, we have to establish need. It is not for the sake of just getting theatre commands that we're getting theatre commands. There is a need for that. The need is derived from our national military objectives and our national security objectives, basically. You see, India today is a risen, responsible, resilient nation, a regional power, a global leader. And if you want to be counted as a global leader, you have to have essential elements of national power working in a sync, totally synergized, and these are diplomatic, information, military, and economy, plus culture and political also. So we as a growing power need to modernize our military, including the structure and systems. I will not say that we're not relevant. It's not so. Right from 47 to the present day, including the disengagement with China on the 23rd of October, is possible because the armed forces held their ground, they were effective, and they demonstrated relative strength, which and raised the cost of the Chinese. But if you look at the future tomorrow, the army has to future ready, and the world is, global order is changing, emerging world order is going to be different, and India has to be keeping pace with the renewed this. And to the military means, I think we need the theatre commands. Now, what shape they will come, they will be there. It's been happening for many years. The talk has been there. It's been on the table for many years. The appointment of the CDS, the first CDS, General Bipin Rawat, was the first step towards integrated theatre commands. So, as I hear now, I think we're looking at about 4 theatre commands, which is the Aerospace Command, which is also the Air Defense Command. Finally, the Air Force come on board their apprehension, rightly so. And the Western Theatre, the Northern Theatre, and the Maritime Theatre. Now, I have an argument which is slightly different. You see, we'll have to be looking at our future threats and opportunities, challenging opportunities. And of late, and it's not of late, it's of late, it's manifested itself. But going a step further, I think we should be looking in the security domain between a China, Pakistan, Bangladesh axis. Right? It may be far-fetched for some people right now, but the way things are unfolding and the way they unfolded since the 5th of August 2024, we'll have to actually plan for it. We'll have to look at it. There's no harm in looking at it. You see, you cannot build capabilities all of a sudden. Intent can change, but capabilities have to be there. So when today, we always spoke about two front war, two and a half front war. I'm not looking at two and a half or three front war. I'm just saying that there is a axis which is now firming up, which is China, Pakistan, which is already there always, and we went to the extent of even I say so that Pakistan has now become a client state of China, but now we're looking at China, Pakistan, Bangladesh. If we're doing that, I think we should look at the whole aspect of security in a slightly different prism, with a different argument, and that is where I feel. Uh, and there's my initial comments that we should be looking at the Western theatre, which will be Siachen to Sir Creek. We should be looking at a North Western theatre, which will be from, let's say, Karakoram right up to somewhere in central Nepal. And then we look at a Northeastern theatre, which will be from central Nepal right up to Kibutu and include the borders, include Bangladesh and Nepal, uh, Myanmar, and Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim. Right. Otherwise, too difficult to manage a theater in our context. We should not ape the Americans. Americans are a different thing. Americans occupy. They have forces in 127 nations. They were 80 odd bases in different countries. So what we are looking at is basically two theaters for our northern borders, including the five other nations which we share boundaries with. And we share the largest land border with Bangladesh at 4096 kilometers. Right? Then Myanmar is there. And then we have the Aerospace Command, space included in the Aerospace Command, and the Maritime Command. So these are five structural theaters which I'm talking about right now, integrated theaters composed of the armed forces, all that is Air Force, Army, and Navy, integrated theaters. This would be the first reaction to a theater command.
Okay, I'll throw a few issues in this. So what you're trying to say is, or rather, from what we're generally hearing of four theater commands, you're looking at five theater commands.
Right.
That's the crux of the thing, where you feel the China complete northern border will be too big. So we hive it off into two pieces, with Nepal being the centerpiece with the overlap. The geographic territory of Nepal, that is the central sector and the northern sector as part of the northern command and the northeastern command uh, east of Nepal further. So that's a fair one. I think it's got a lot of merit. But I have a slightly different thought process on a Western command. Like you said, the Western command will be somewhere where the Northern command ends, Leh Ladakh down to Spur Creek. My view, sir, is that this area has now got to be expanded into the North Arabian Sea. And I'll explain to you why, and we could discuss it. Of late, if you see, Pakistan and China have been carrying out a lot of exercises in this area, naval exercises and air exercises. One. Number two, the Pakistan army is being equipped with submarines, latest frigates, and even they're looking at stealth aircraft being given. Apart from the normal other thing. So this is some capability which Pakistan is acquiring. And this goes completely contrary, it flies completely contrary to the normal thinking that Pakistan is a nation which is in decline and it doesn't have anything. All this is from where the funding is coming, I don't know, but it's coming. All these orders are in the pipeline. That Pakistan is being equipped and China is exercising with Pakistan. The second fact is that Gwadar is being developed into a base without doubt. And what people say is that Gwadar is likely to be the first overseas command of China. This is the many people have spoken about it in whatever tones there is. Add to the fact that Djibouti is already a Chinese base. Now, the combination of Gwadar and Djibouti controlling the Strait of Hormuz and the Gulf of Aden, is a very, very potent combination, if I may say, with a refurbished Pak army, Pak armed forces, Navy, Air Force, whatever. And you add the other security dimensions in this, like the Houthis and Yemen and all that. Then there is a continuity from the land border to this area. So my view, and I've been airing it for long, is that our western border needs to be expanded. Because when you cut it off at Sir Creek, then whatever operations in Gwadar, how does it happen? And whatever happens at Gwadar in future will have a bearing on the land and on sea. If you could give your views on this. Uh,
See, what you said absolutely right. The geopolitical scenario is emerging is definitely needs a review. China in the Arabian Sea, China in the Indian Ocean, the strategic competition with the US and China uh, in far off areas like the Indian Ocean and the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal. Why not Bay of Bengal also for that matter? Right. So we see the strategic competition, and unfortunately, India. We've been talking India as a balancing power. I think India should go a leading power. Why balancing power? Right. And if we have to do that, we need the militaries. We need the military strength. We need a demonstrated military strength, and we should not underestimate, our adversaries. It is okay to have a
that's stupid.
good assessment of Pakistan, a good assessment of China, what's happening, but don't underestimate. China has been. We were talking of imploding China, correction, imploding Pakistan, imploding failed state in Pakistan for a very long time. It's not happened, and hope it
That's
will
not
happen then.
happened.
Yes. So don't underestimate your adversaries. Take them, understand their weaknesses, right? Exploit their weaknesses for your own good, but don't underestimate them. So when you see a China-Pakistan axis, when I'm talking about in the Arabian Sea, a China-Bangladesh-Pakistan, China-Bangladesh axis in the Bay of Bengal, I think we are looking at a holistic picture, like you really really pointed it out. But the point is, when we look at integrated theater commands, we'll have to look at complementarity. We'll have to look at our own resource at present. We'll have to look at our limited budgets. Uh, Competing practice at national level, our budgets will remain limited. We cannot expect a 3%, 3.2% GDP, which we were talking about, but it's not happened. We're looking at a very pragmatic 2% plus minus point here and there. So when you look at that, I think we'll have to optimize our resource. We'll have to optimize existing resource, and whatever structures we have should not add to the costs. Right? We'll have to see what the resources and how to
Yeah,
optimize.
I agree with you, sir, because these are the options available. Because the long held view that Western Command is Pakistan and Northern Command is China,
No,
and
it doesn't work.
Maritime Command, I think we need to have a relook at that story,
Correct.
because the regional dynamics, the dynamics in the Indo-Pacific, and like you said, Bangladesh has just come into being. I mean, I said the threat of Bangladesh, in the way it is coming, a lot of things are changing, and I also don't see Myanmar, going quiet for a long time to come. So the spillover from Myanmar will be there, and hence, like you said, we need to have a very open look on the theatre commands, even at this stage, as they are being ushered in, with the thinking that tomorrow we might have to change their boundaries or structures. But largely, I go with you.
It will become
Largely,
true.
I go with you.
If you look at the terrain, right? There's no connect and complementarity between Eastern Ladakh and Sikkim or Arunachal for that matter. Even if you look at northern borders, if one of us was theater commanders, let's say, let's position as theater commanders, given the resource we have, how do you, where is the flexibility, where is the project? We have to understand that our northern borders are terrain fractured sectors, right? They're not a terrain fractured sector, they're terrain fractured subsectors. Arunachal, the five valleys are there's no connectivity with the
There's
five
no
valleys.
complementarities. Yes, I
No
agree with you.
complementary, no connectivity. You have no connectivity between in Sikkim. You have no connectivity in the central sector between let's say areas of in Uttarakhand itself, right?
Yeah, you don't have.
Harsal sector and the Joshimath sector.
Yes, sir.
Similarly, in the sugar sector and the Harsal sector, between the sugar
Yeah,
sector and Demchok, right?
you don't have.
So what we're looking at, and again between Depsang and again within Eastern Ladakh
Yeah, you
also,
know, again, there are no complementarities. There's no
there's no
connectivity.
complementarity, there's no flexibility. So we have to maintain reserves forces, and that is where I think integrated theatre commands will make a very effective sort of a war, deterrence thing where we have all the resources put in together, but do not overload it, because an overload, there will be short circuit. Too much responsibility. So that is my view. So there's time enough. We had a discussion with General Rawat and this, and I think he did mention one of the press briefs immediately after the discussion that we may have to look at two theatres for the northern borders. He did mention that, and then northern borders also includes other countries, right? Don't have to look at only war fighting or war prevention. We have to look at
Yeah,
military
it has
diplomacy.
military
Military
diplomacy.
diplomacy. Who's going to be and other things also. Who's going to be handling, let's say, Myanmar meetings or Bangladesh meetings? How do we do that? Nepal, for that matter. The chief of the Indian Army is the honorary chief of the Nepal Army, and vice versa. So we just can't just look at our adversaries and say this is what we're going to do. We have to look at the whole gamut of things. And we now are doing combined exercises of 43, 44 countries. We've got strategic partnership with, I think, another 40 odd countries, nations. So we don't have to just, confine ourselves just to our borders alone, whether land borders, the maritime borders, airspace borders. We'll have to grow out of it. If we are going to become a leading power, we'll have to ensure that the military is factored into our power projection. And that is where national security comes in. National security, summed up, is basically protecting and projecting a national interest and assets. That's all. And that's a military very important function of it. Now, so theatre command, when they come in now, and they're going to come in, I think we should not be in a hurry. We should not be in a hurry, and which is a very right thing. Because like you rightly said in the initial thing, look at China. No, they hurried it up, and honestly, there's no role definition in the formation units. So you can't change the ethos of a unit. You can't be served in a unit for
Yeah, there's no doubt. You can't
years.
even change the ethos of our formations.
You can't change the ethos of a formation. We go by our old our old war cries. Why should I change my assets? What is my strength? Right. But then the structure should come in and impose itself to synergize that and make our the battle hardened armed forces into a more lean and mean machine. Right. That is what we are looking at. And and not only this, if you look at the structures, we gave the five theater commands, which I thought the five theater commands. We should also look at integrated theater. I should not call them command. My fault. It's integrated theaters, and then we look at commands. Tomorrow multi-domain joint operations would look at cyber command. We need a cyber command. We need a special operations command. This is not now in the Malaysia Task Force 2012. This was envisaged at that point of time. A space command, but space command could be merged with the Air Force. So it will be aerospace space command. Then we look at a training command, a logistics command. So what we're looking at about five commands and five theaters. But the challenge will be, because the Indian Army, Indian Armed Forces, by part, have to be, present relevant also. We got threats, despite the disengagement along the line of actual
Yeah,
control.
the threat remains. So.
Has to be, deterrence has to be there. We got to man it 24/7. We got to man it 365 days, and we cannot start doing rebalancing every time. We need the logistics there. Similarly, with Pakistan, the LC has to be kept guarded. We cannot thin down our city grid, our counter-terrorism grid. As we saw in the month of June last year, suddenly there was a void in the area of the old uniform sector, and we know what happened there. So,
Yeah.
when we do all this, we'll have to actually just look at restructuring the command and control element. I'm not asking of change the location. No, location would remain the same. You can't change locations. Well, and you just reorbiting things to make it better in terms of your command and control, your ISR capabilities, and your war fighting abilities. So
I
that
think
is
you made
where
a very I think you made a very important point, sir, which I'd like to highlight to all our viewers. What General Bhatia has said is, I think, very, very, very important. When all this is happening, when this restructure is happening, when we are shifting from the present form to theater command system or with establishing integrated theater, the threat doesn't go away. You have to manage the threat. So, and we have to manage it seamlessly. So that's the first important point everyone needs to understand. The second thing is nothing changes on ground. Whatever the command is there, you can't upstick the command and say Udhampur se leke chalo bhai tum le chale jao or wherever, So nothing changes on ground. The command will remain as it is. It is the additional reorbiting and restructuring so that the command and control changes so that there is sharper focus. These two important points which General Bhatia has made are very critical to the entire business of integrated theatre command. Otherwise, we'll be disintegrated and the theatre command will not be there. Please understand that for everyone. So sorry for the interruption. Please.
no, you're absolutely right. You see, the old principles of war: balance in disposition, balance in composition.
Uh,
Right? There's nothing new. Despite technology, the basics have not changed.
changed.
Your principles of war have not changed. They've only become more, I would say, confusing in a way. Right? So if you forget your basics, you're going to have problems. So your balance and composition, balance disposition, that's what we're trying to say. And a very major aspect in our thing would be transition management. Right? As I see it today, the defense preparedness is with the CDS and the operational readiness with the three service chiefs. Okay, Army, Air Force, Navy. But when the theater commands come up, the operational readiness would be part of the theater commands, which would come under the CDS. And the three service chiefs would then become responsible for the preparedness part of it. Right? There are different between defense preparedness and operational readiness. The operational aspect would shift to the theater commands. And that is where we have to get the authority right, authority and accountability. Right? So when you get the authority and accountability right, I feel that the CDS should be the first among equals, with all the theater commands having 4-star generals. Because they have to be this thing. And each theater will have 3 component commanders who would be Army commander equivalent. 3 component commanders, Army, Air Force, Navy, all the 5 commands. And we should not look at 17 commands, so many, appointments and all. We should not look at. We should grow out of it actually. This is a need. It is the need. And then we look at the same at the apex level scales being given to the joint command commanders like logistics, training, cyber, special operations. Okay. So we get the structures right, we get the command control structure right, we get the communications right, ISR right, and we plug this into the national security structures. They're not standalone. Sorry, armed forces no longer can be standalone. They are national security structures. Even their organizations which will have to be plugged in, especially the intelligence organizations, because that is some weakness we have always faced,
Yeah.
whether it's Argil or whether it is the line of action control or even the LC for that matter. So if we do not have these structures plugged in and responsible and accountable, I think we will again be banking on our men, our soldiers, and our leaders to save us every time at a
Yeah.
cost. We've got to reduce costs. So that is the transition management has to be taken care of. And before we get the structures right, I think we need a transition management roadmap, which should be acceptable to the authorities concerned. And there, I think the ownership for the transition management should be with the government of India, because they'll have to get all the structures. We'll have to get the diplomatic structures right. We'll have to get the finance financial support right at the right time. We cannot have delays. The problem is in the armed forces is the delay in financial sanctions. By the time the sanctions come, we have already spent a lot of time and resource trying to get those sanctions. So we cannot do that. This has to be all synergized and function as a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, I think you're right, sir. The transition management from being the CDS role reversal between the CDS and the chiefs, which will be a big cultural shock to everyone. To the appointments concerned, it will be a big cultural shock. I'm using the word shock because historically they've been used to a particular role, and the CDS has gone into a particular role, and they're going to reverse their roles completely. So there is an issue here which we need to factor in, and hence this transition roadmap is very important, and we need to roll it out not in a hurry. We are not in a hurry to transit into the a theater command. We can start the process. It can take 2-3 years. I don't think it matters a bit. As far as we don't lose operational readiness and the ability to react to any situation as it keeps coming. The
See,
second thing, sir, which I'd like to, yeah, please, sir.
our senior military leadership is very professional, very mature, very responsible. And always, if you look at them over the years, we owe a lot to the senior military leadership. And current leadership is very, very responsible, very professional. They're much more professional than we ever were, actually, if you ask me, the way things are. And that is where I think the time is ripe to get into the theater commands in a planned scientific methodology.
Yeah. The second point, in fact, the point which I was trying to make, sir, is that our higher defense organizations at the political military level also have to change. Because the moment you get the integrated theater commands in, you start looking at things holistically, which you all actually already mentioned. The way we go about our intelligence, the way we go about our space based ISR, or any other kind of ISR, the way we have to synergize other ministries like home, for mobilization like railways, transport, all these. I think at the apex level also a certain amount of change has to be factored in. It is just not change at the armed forces level. Could you dilate on this?
Yeah, if you look at it, we have I think 16 or 17 states which share land borders. Right? Another 7, 8 states which share the maritime borders.
Maritime borders.
It's not only the federal we should talk about. We talk about the state also. The state also comes into
Yes, sir.
getting the central structures together, getting the state together, and that is where we should be looking at one nation. It's very little one nation, one elections, but one nation, one security. Okay.
Yes.
We should understand that security. If it is Viksit Bharat, it has to Surakshit Bharat. You cannot have Viksit Bharat without being Surakshit Bharat. The prerequisite of Viksit Bharat is Surakshit Bharat. And also the vice versa is also true. Without being Viksit Bharat, you can't have Surakshit Bharat because economy and security are interrelated. The more economic means you have, the more secure you are. The more secure you are, the more economic means you have. The economic long-term peace, civil and economic development goes hand in hand. Without peace and stability, there is no economic development. So we'll have to look at as we say sub cheese. It is not only one fractured thing. Sub cheese in a very holistic manner and plan it out. And it's being done. I'm not sure the government is doing. Government is one.
No, this discussion is only to put it across to everyone. What are the issues involved?
And I think we should not be apologetic about things. If the army wants certain things, the Air Force wants certain things, the naval wants certain. What is wrong with it? It will always be that way. Why not? Whatever is my charter, I'll prioritize that charter for myself. If I'm not fighting for my own arm, my formation, my this thing, why should we apologize about that? I'll give you a small example. I was the co-chair of the ESG, the expert steering group with the Pacific Command that time, and the Pacific Command now. And one they keep you very busy when you go there. One afternoon was free Sunday. I said, okay, let me play some golf in the Fort Shafter in Hawaii. and we were playing golf, and the general was playing with me for years. He said, "No, we got a very good course in the Navy got a very good course." I said, "We're not playing out there." They said, "They don't let the Navy play there." Okay. So, despite the 1986 what are the Goldman Nicholas Act, or what do you call it? There are features. There will always be that. My arm, my service will take priority over everything else. So why being apologetic about the whole thing? But that is where the maturity of the senior leadership, both at the political military level, comes into being. And they say, okay, this has to be done. This has to be done, and we will do it. So I see theater commands as a very good way forward in a national security calculus and a national security architecture.
Yeah, I think so. So, where do you think? So now that we've taken a decision, how do you see this panning out in terms of where do you see this starting? Where do you see the start point, and where do you go, spreading? Or after all, we can't put all five theater commands on the board on the table straight away. You can't put the other command which you spoke of, the space command, the cyber command, and the special operations command, and the existing tri command, other also. So how do you think this rollout should start?
I think the integrated theatre should start with the Western theatre. Uh, you know, more manageable. It would be, apparently we should not touch another theatre at all. Let's do a Western theatre first, followed possibly by the maritime theatre, and then we can do after these two theatres. Then we can go ahead with the other three theatres.
Northern theatre.
Yeah, three. That is aerospace, northeastern, and northwestern. All three. Then it won't take northeast and northwestern will not take much time. Once we got the experience, we've seen the pitfalls. So we corrected our mid-course correction have been done, reviews been taken, acceptability is there. Because acceptability is very important. Acceptability is the main thing actually, and role definition has to be there. Without role definition, there'll be confusion, and we don't have the liberty of not doing. We don't have those 5 years of not doing anything.
Yeah.
So we can't say for 5 years, okay, there'll be monitoring everything. We don't have to do security. No, your counter-terrorism will continue. Your J&K will continue. Your Northeast will continue. LC line of control will continue. LSC will continue. Your maritime thing will continue. Your airspace has to defend it. That will continue. So that's what I'm trying to say. Let's start with the Western theatre first. And it's very interesting, actually. If you look at very interesting,
and you'll get a lot of experience out of it.
Yeah, along with the Western theatre, I think something which you need to do immediately is the cyber command. We are lagging behind. Cyber is something. This is one domain which is becoming very critical, and cyber would also include IW. Right. So cyber command, I think needs. One integrated theatre, one cyber command, and then you build up the other things of that.
Fine. So, how do you handle out of area contingencies? I won't say out of area operations, not even contingencies. When I say out of area contingencies or operations, I'm not talking of what happens in the Indian Ocean. What happens in the Indian Ocean, the Maritime Command will take on. But what beyond? Today, we have assets and interests as far as Venezuela in the Pacific and the Atlantic. We also have certain, I won't say presence, but we do, we increasing our military cooperation with Indonesia and Vietnam and Philippines and Japan. Japan and we have growing military cooperation. So in that context, actually, even now, though it is not said, we already have our presence in the Western Pacific. Right? I mean, it's not said in as many terms, but it's there. Your weapon systems are there, your military cooperation is there, diplomacy is there. How do you handle that as part of this? I mean, your views, your ideas on that.
No, you see, it's not that difficult. there's a challenge, all right, but then challenges can be overcome.
Yeah,
When you look at this, I'll call it operations other than war.
yeah,
Whether it's HADR or we are a network security provider in the region. Sagar security and growth for all in the region is a vision of India and the Prime Minister of India. So when we talk of military diplomacy, when we talk about training cooperation, when we talk about international cooperation, so we see all this happening within the theaters. It is not that the theaters, the theater commanders, uh, this is personal resource. No, sorry,
no, it's not. It's not.
no. There'll be strategic rebalancing happening all the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And there will be plans in position. For every contingent, there will be plans in position. And they'll be reviewed. And there'll be consensus on that. It's not that, if the Western theater has got certain, number of squadrons with him, they're not deployed for any other contingency. Sorry. This is a wrong notion altogether.
No, yeah. He has to be. It's flexible, sir.
Yeah.
It's flexible.
Like as a former DGMO, the major task was when to move, where to deploy. The other army commanders will fight their battles. They are the theater commanders. Right. But at the end of the day, you have to optimize your resource. You can't be sitting on a resource and the war ends. You can't be sitting on a resource and it is not there at the right time, at the right place. The old things, mostest with the fastest.
Fastest. Yeah.
That is how it is. Every gun has to be firing at the right time, with the right ammunition, with adequate
At the right
ammunition,
place.
at the
At
right
the right
place,
place also.
right place. Okay, so that is where the flexibility and the commanders come and the leaders come to be. So when we have operations other than war, those contingents will be worked out. We discuss them and we give the resource allocated. And it is not that everything will be, with the theater and there'll be nothing. Like we'll have certain reserves which will directly earmark for certain contingencies. We have it today. We'll have it tomorrow. So these reserves
Yeah.
will move. These will be strategic reserves, and they will move wherever the requirement is, and they will supplement and complement the resource of that theater.
Right. So now the next, I would say aspect I think we could deliberate a bit on is, do you see a change in our acquisition procedures and the way we go about? Because once the theater command comes and your entire role reversal of the individual arms, uh, individual services, uh, Army, Navy, Air Force, and then the theater command coming, I think we need to have a relook at the way we go about doing our defense acquisition and procurement.
And that is
It-
one major weakness we have. And we want to understand, recognize that a weakness, then only we'll improve. Our procedures are lethargic and lengthy. So you find a gap of 10 to 15 years once the AOMs are given. I'm talking of fast tracks. Okay,
yeah,
you've been the direction of
yeah,
fast
yeah.
track. Okay, for so many years nothing moved. So you can't have those voids, those gaps. It doesn't work out. Sorry. So your procedures have to be in keeping with the modern day needs of fast decision making, fast acquisition, fast absorb. You got to identify, you got to acquire, you got to absorb, then you got to exploit. It is just not
We
that
don't have
I
time for it.
and those things will come in their own time. No, but when the things come, I don't. I've stopped optimizing them in any case. The world has moved ahead.
Yeah.
So
So
technology changes every 6 months to 2 years now. So
the
we can't.
technology cycles are shortened.
It is shortened. The OODA loop is being shortened. The technology cycle is being shortened. And with the technology, we need the technology of tomorrow today. I
Yeah,
don't need the technology of the last decade in the next decade.
yeah.
Sorry, we
I
have to be
think
very blunt about it.
I
You,
agree with you, sir.
we have to understand that Atmanirbharta is the way ahead. But again, there has to be a 8 to 10 years roadmap for Atmanirbharta to actually come in. I will accept a lesser quality thing, which is Indian, and have a mark, the next mark one,
But
mark two, mark three is improvement.
yes, we've discussed this.
But the decision making should then be shortened. Acquisition
Yeah,
process need to be shortened. We
and
I don't think we can even we've been able to spend our capital budget.
yeah, in fact, this is a very important point. Operationally you might transfer, but the way you go about procuring, the way you go your acquisition, the way you're going to develop new things, the way you're going to handle new technologies, the way you're going to handle your own finances, optimize your finances, the way you're going to maintain your systems has to change simultaneously. There is no way of saying no, I'll go with the old system. The old system will break. I mean, that's my view, sir. The moment the integrated theater commands come, the old our current system of acquisition and procurement will start breaking, or rather, it will be they will also be rendered irrelevant. I think we need to lay a lot of focus on this, and we need to also get our budgets clear. And our budgets have to be for tomorrow, not for day before yesterday. So that's the important thing which I think we need to put it. And yeah, you also touched upon the fact that we need to take the state on board, all the ministries on board. There has to be synergy between the center and the state. There has to be synergy between the armed forces and the state and the center, so that there is a good amount of civil military fusion. Civil military fusion, the way I look at it, is just not about procurement. It is about mobilization, victualization, logistics, and a lot of things. Like you said, वो सब चीज होना चाहिए, सब चीज होना चाहिए. So I think we've covered a lot of ground. Any more views after your final views, and then we'll take some questions.
No, not really. But we are reviewing our doctrines, we're reviewing our organizations. We are carrying out a review of our material with the material acquisitions. Basically, we talked about it. I think one thing we should, at this point of time, not touch is the manpower. Sorry, I'm repeating
No,
myself.
it's a very important point.
We cannot touch the manpower at this point of time, right? So I think we need to review the Agnipath scheme. Clear. And that's I'll end out here.
Fine. We need to review the Agnipath. There's no doubt. And just for information for all who are listening, right from day one, from the day this Agnipath scheme was announced, General Bhatia and I have spoken our mind on this. It is not that the Agnipath scheme is not welcome, but it is not welcome in the current format. Right?
And the current
it needs
time and space.
Current juncture, right? What people have to understand is you can't have too many changes going on at the same time. If you try to change everything, will fall flat. That's the danger which we are actually facing at this point of time. In the same vein, sir, I'd like to highlight one more thing. A lot of people talk, oh, let's have a rocket force, let's have this, let's have that. You can't afford to have so many changes. This switching to the integrated theater command system will willy-nilly, if you start this year, we will end up somewhere around 27, 28 into some logical way of doing things. It is only then that you can think of any other reorganization. And if you organize your manpower on which is your biggest strength, we are heading into major problems, because our Jawans have bailed us out time and again, every time. Right? So
if the Chinese have gone back after the disengagement in October, it is thanks to our men who are defended with actual control, without blinking, without brinkmanship.
Yes.
That strategic resolve combined with strategic restraint. It has not come through technology. It has come through that last man standing firm and not doing anything to aggravate the situation.
Right. I think we put across all the points of view. I'll take a few questions, a lot of comments, a lot of